The smart tools, well, at least that's what I call these time-saving After Effects tools that I have been developing for the last couple of weeks, a month or so. And well, today they are finally released on our website. So you can either go to Ukramedia.com, or in the description of this video, you can click on the link. It'll take you to the same place. And there you can download them individually or as a bundle. But I do want to thank you for your support and for all of that unbelievable feedback that you guys have been giving me over the last couple of weeks, especially people like Scott McMahon and Artem Razanov. Those two gave me some very useful UI help, so thank you both. But in this video, I want to go over all of these tools again. As you can see, I have quite a bit, and we also have some presets. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's going to be a pretty long video, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize. However, I did include a bunch of timestamps in the description of this video, so you can click on them and jump around. So in the meantime, let me show you all of these tools again. Smart Animator is a text animation tool for After Effects, and if you've done any kind of text animation in After Effects, you do know the struggle and the clicks and the time that it takes to create something simple. I know that very well. That's why I created this tool called Smart Animator. But before I show you how to use this thing, let me show you the before. Let me show you what it was like before this script. So we have this text in After Effects, and what if I want to animate it? Now, normally you would just select it here, you would go into it, you would click on animate, and then you would choose which properties you want to animate. So position, let's add another one. Opacity is good. Okay, so we have those in here. Then you kind of have to know what you're doing here. You'd have to go to the advanced here, and we're gonna set it to based on words, and then let's do shape. We're gonna change it to ramp up. So some of these things you do have to know, and I do know I've done this so many times. I know what I'm doing here. So ease high, I'm gonna set it to something like 85, and then low to 100. So that's good, we're almost done. Then you have to animate it. So instead of animating start or end, that's what you probably would initially think, but you have to actually animate offset, because the way I have it set up, you need to do it with offset. So we would take our time indicator to the very beginning, and we're gonna start at -100, set a keyframe, and then go forward like 20 frames or so, and then set it to something like 100. So now we have something here, but it's still not animating because we need to adjust the initial position and opacity here. So for the position, we're gonna animate the X. We're gonna say 500, like that, and then opacity, let's do 0. So it's starting at 0 and 500 on X. So it animates like this. Perfect, exactly what I want. But that's just animation in. Okay, then you would do this. You're like, all right, so let's maybe duplicate this, and let's move these keys. Well, let's see where they're at. Right here, we're gonna move them right to the end here, like so. That's good. So now it's animating. Well, it's all messed up now. So now we have to do some kind of adjustments real quick. Let's see what would work here, because it's kind of messing it up. So instead of ramp up, let's try ramp down. Yeah, that works, but it's not going the way that I want it to go. So let's go -500. Okay, so it animates in, animates out. We're pretty much done. So this is it right here. Now, as you can see, it took a lot of steps just to set this up. And if you don't do this daily, then it's something you constantly have to remember, and it can be a bit problematic. It can give you a headache, and it can kill a lot of time. So that's the animation. Now, this is only one layer. Can you imagine if you had a bunch of them? You know, if you duplicate this and you have a bunch of different animations, that can be very time consuming. Now, what if you have to adjust them? So then you would have to go here and move the keyframes for every single one of them. But what if you want to do different animation? Instead of to the side, what if you want to, you know, maybe go from the bottom up? Then you would have to go into each property here. You would have to find all the, I mean, I don't even want to do it because it's so time consuming. And that's why text animation in After Effects is hard in a lot of ways. You kind of have to know what you're doing, and it can get very messy very quickly. So I think I painted a pretty painful picture here. Let me get rid of all of this. Let me show you what Smart Animator can do and how it can save you time. So let's do this. We're gonna get rid of everything we just created. So we're starting from the very beginning. As you can see, everything is gone. That's good. So let's do the same thing what I just did, the exact same animation, but we're gonna do it using this. Now I'm gonna do it quickly, and then I'll explain what everything does. So all I have to do, I'm gonna go to position. We did a thing on the X, we did like 500. And then we're gonna copy this. Let's do what is it, negative 500? I think that's what we did. And then opacity, we took it to 0, 0 on in and out. And easing, I think it was 85, 100. That's good. So then I just select this, run it, and let's see what it does. There you go. The exact same thing with a couple of clicks. And this thing is so smart. Now, you probably just watching me working, you probably already have an idea of what it does. So let me go further. Now, when you run it, it creates animation, and it uses the exact same tools we used to create the other ones. As you can see, it's the same animators. As you can see, it's using it, but it is so smart. Let's keep going with this. As you can see, I quickly did this. It's super awesome. But what if you're, what if you have a bunch of layers? Again, I can duplicate this many times. I can select all of them, run it. It's the same concept. It will do it for all of them. But what if you want to keep going? What if you say, hey, let's go to position, and instead of going side to side, let's reset them. So we have X, it resets it based on, like, this one will reset the position only in, right? So the in point adjusts the in point, the out point adjusts the out point. So you can reset them like that. Just it clears it to 0. Now, if you want to reset all of these, you would do it globally. Just reset, and it will do it for all of your properties. So, okay, so instead of to the side, let's do maybe like 200. And we're going to, these kind of like copies this to that. Or if you want to take this to this, you just do that. Not 20, but 200. That's what I wanted. So 200, and then we're going to say negative 200 on this, and then just apply. Boom. And then, as you can see, it slides in. Beautiful. You can go to blur here, and we can, on the Y, we can adjust the blur. So we can add a blur. So watch this now. It kind of blurs in. That's awesome. So instantly, no problem. And it's not a motion blur. It looks like a motion blur, but it's not. So it's much faster than motion blur, because motion blur will have to generate the blur, and that can take some time. So what else can we do? Maybe scale. We can go over here and maybe scale on the Y 500 just for in only. So in, again, this side, out, this side. It's very intuitive. So click on it, and let's see, now it kind of slides in. That's nice. You can even go to position even more. You can say, let's do something like 500. So I'm just trying to show you how easy it is to alter and come up with something very interesting. Everything that I'm doing here, once I hit apply, it also creates a pseudo effect that you can adjust in here as well. So you can adjust the same thing we were doing for the position. When you, let's say 500, now it's set to 500. If I take it to 1000, and when I hit apply, boom, it adjusts in here. So everything that you're doing here, you can also do it in here as well. So that means it's a pseudo effect. That means you could take all of these properties and carry them over to something like Premiere as a Mogurt, and you can apply expressions on them and do all kinds of stuff. So that can be very helpful. So yeah, what else can we do with this? Well, let me keep going. We also have the skew. You can do all of these things, but honestly, I hardly ever do the skew thing. So I'm going to reset this. Don't need this right now. We have rotation. Apply, so it's going to rotate things in. You can do it based on, let me start over. So you can do it based on, if you're over here, you can do it based on words. So let's do characters. So we'll just do simple animation, maybe like a 200, and let's do negative 200. Apply. So it just kind of does this. As you can see, it does it based on characters. Again, that's based on characters on the in. On the out, it's based on words. So when it animates out, it does it based on words. So that's simple. You can do rotation here, right? You can maybe add like some kind of rotation. So it's going to slide in like this, maybe opacity. I like this tool because it takes the awkwardness out of text animation, and you can be creative. You can actually come up with complex animations without the headache. And that's something I always struggled with as far as like using the native tool. So this allows me, like, it saves me time, but it allows me to play and get creative. Okay, so something like that, that's pretty cool. Maybe get rid of a rotation. So rotation, let's reset it. Boom, done. So we have just something like that. Now let me show you another one called order. That one is super handy, especially if you have a language that reads from the right to the left. So right now we have animation. It's going, starting at the left side, it's going to the right, just like this arrow says right here. But I can reverse it for both in and out. So in and out. So I can reverse it. Instead of left to right, I can say go right to left, and then boom. Now you can see it starts from this side, it goes to the other side. You can go back anytime, boom, and just reverse it. Very easy. You can also randomize the order. Right now, it kind of nicely does it one by one by one, but you can say randomize, and now it's going to do it differently. You can, get a different seed. If you don't like this random order, you can maybe just play with different seed. Make sure you select the layer, and boom, it'll give you something different. So that's awesome. You can get rid of it. Very easy. So what else can we talk about? Now, we talked about position, scale, skew, rotation, opacity, blur, easing. Now, easing, right now, as you can see, everything is kind of has a smooth start, and then it kind of arrives smooth. And it has easing both on in and out. As you can see right here, easing in and then out. Now in has start and end. Well, what does that mean? Well, start means each word, or however you have it set up, it has a starting point as it animates, it has a starting point, and then as it arrives, that's the ending point. So right now you can see O starting, and then it arrives. So starting point, I can say, hey, don't have any smoothness, just be like 0, linear, like have speed already. So if I apply, you can see it's not going to be as smooth at first. Watch this. It's just going to have like really fast and then arrives really quickly. Now I can get rid of, I basically have 0, 0, and it's going to be a very linear animation. So watch this, it's just going to be very linear. But easing allows you to get something very interesting. So maybe on the starting point, let's have a smooth and then have a snappy kind of end, maybe like a 20% easing, right? Like this. Let's see what it does. So it kind of snaps. Maybe we can do it based on words. Let's go based on words. Again, the fact that I'm doing it this fast is just unbelievable. Okay, apply this. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe randomize it a bit. Yeah, so it's very snappy. Maybe that's what you want. So that is Smart Animator, but we also have buttons at the top right here. And another thing I want to point out, remember the in and out points is what driving the animation. So based on in and out. So we have duration, and it's set to 1 second. So it takes 1 second, exactly 1 second to animate all of them. So as you can see, if I play this, by this point, they're all animated. So 1 second. You can set it to 0.5, like half a second, and make sure you select the layer, and then it's going to animate it half a second. So it can also be done based on frames. So you can, if you're comfortable with animating with frames, a lot of people animate with frames, especially if you do 3D, then you can do frames. You can set how many frames you want. Let's say 10 frames, just make sure it works. So right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 frames, it's animated. So this feature is super handy, but I'm going to set it just 1 second and done. So that's what duration is. And again, you can alter these things. It's going to animate, because it's based on in and out points, it will animate in and out, and you can quickly adjust when you want it to end. And you can like duplicate this, have another one. So when this one ends, this one arrives. Trust me, it will save you so much time. But it does it based on in and out points. I did add a custom animation option in here to where you can set it based on custom time. You can set it, start at 0 and animate out by 5, or so you do have control, but I'm not advertising it that much because I think in and out points is so much quicker. So that's it. But let's talk about this pull button real quick. So this pull button right here, just like you can clear out, let's go to position real quick. So we have this animation, right? Let's say we close this project and we're starting fresh. Let's say everything is reset in my user interface here. Let's just reset everything. So everything is back to 0. And so, but I open the project and I have text that I animated using Smart Animator. But what if I want to adjust it? Now, to adjust it, naturally, you would have to go over here and take all these, we have the position values, we have the, what else? The opacity values. So I would have to literally take everything in here. You can adjust it in here, right? So we have, it animates in and then animates out, but I would have to copy everything in here and put it in the UI to keep adjusting it. Because if I move the position and apply it, it's just going to override everything. And that's a problem. So for that, I've added this pull button right here for in and out for just the properties. For example, if I'm in the position and I want to copy the position of this animation, I can just pull it in. Boom, and it pulls it in. As you can see, here's the in position starts at 200. So whatever you value that you have in here, you can pull them in easily. And then you can adjust it and send it back. So let me undo this real quick. Okay, so that's what the pull in. So pull feature has it for in and out. just a single property, but you can also pull for everything. You can pull for everything in and then out. So we have global values, we have local values. So let's pull everything in. So boom, boom. And now we have everything for opacity, everything adjusted, even easing, everything's adjusted. So that's what those buttons are. And trust me, these will save you so much time. And in the future, I'm planning on adding a feature to where you can actually save presets. And I mean, it will definitely evolve into something even bigger than what it is right now. So then we have the motion blur. I mean, it's the same concept as turning the motion blur here. But if you have many layers selected, you can just do it instantly with one click. Boom, it's going to turn it on. And the same thing for 3D, because right now rotation is only the Z, right? If you want to rotate this on the Z, I can apply it and it's rotating on a Z, but I can't really rotate the 3D because 3D is not activated. So it doesn't matter if you push it, it doesn't work. But you can activate 3D and then it's going to work, right? So now let's take this to 0 and that one as well. But let's do this one at like 90 degrees. So now you can see it kind of flips. So yeah, that can be very useful. And you can turn off 3D at any time, and it's going to do that for all selected layers. And last button right here is the remove Smart Animator. So if, let's say you created the animation and you realized, hey, I want to go back to the way the text was. I just want to get rid of the animation. And basically, here's what it will do so you can see it visually. We have these animators that it generates when you create a Smart Animator, and it also generates this pseudo effect. So when you select all layers or just one layer, multiple, doesn't really matter. And when you click on this remove, boom, it gets rid of all the animators that it created and also the pseudo effect. And now you are starting from nothing. Smart Bounce is a very simple tool, but it's so powerful. It will definitely spice up your animation. And let me show you what it does. Here it is. As you can see, Smart Bounce is very small. It only has like 5 buttons, but it's very effective. So in this example, we have just a simple image kind of flipping like this, but I can select any keyframe properties and I can select which animation I want. I can either have like an elastic animation or a bounce animation, like bounce back. So in this case, I'm going to select elastic and then I just, hit apply and then it's done. As you can see, my property value right here is lit up in red, which means the expression or the code is now driving this animation. So it's using these keyframes, but it's adding on something to it. So watch this. Now we have something like this. Very cool. And not only that, you can select this layer right here and we have a pseudo effect called elastic and we can adjust all these things. You can disable it. You can, crank it up a bit. So the sky's the limit. You can create your own stuff. But yeah, very effective. You can select the same property again. And this time let's do bounce back and then apply. And now it creates a pseudo called bounce. You can adjust the settings. You can disable it. And now let's see what it does. This time, instead of going, I guess, past the point, it bounced back, right? So it's very effective if you want to maybe animate like a box dropping so it doesn't go through the floor. This will do the trick. And another button that's very, very effective, this right here, it's just remove button. So you select a layer that has any kind of like elastic or bounce effect on it. And once you click the button, it gets rid of it. Smart Mask is an After Effects tool that creates a responsive rectangular mask, and I find it extremely useful. That's why I created it. So let me show you what it does. Right now we have just a simple text, and I guess I want to show you the before and after. I think it's so powerful for you to see before and after. So we have just simple text, doesn't have any animation. We're going to create a simple animation using the Smart Animator, and now it has a simple animation. It kind of slides in and then slides out. Now, I'm going to take my time indicator to the midpoint right here and just use a masking tool to draw a simple mask. So something like maybe this is good, right? I want to create that very popular effect that a lot of you guys use. So it kind of slides in like this and then it slides out. Perfect. However, what if I'm creating this for a project and maybe a template, and someone comes in and maybe changes something. So maybe they decided to scale 2. Maybe they say, hey, let's scale this up a little bit. And maybe even add another word like 8. Okay. And let's see what that does. As you can see, it's just not working well. So then you would have to select the mask and, go in here, double click on it and adjust the length of it. And that's not a problem if you're dealing with one layer, but it is a problem if you have a bunch of them and if you like creating a template, and I've created so many templates for Fox Sports to where like things change constantly, and you do want to have something like this. So you've adjusted it and now it works. Obviously you can adjust the animation, but that is a problem. In other words, you want to have a mask that sticks to your text, that is responsive. If the size changes, the mask will respond to it. And that's exactly what Smart Mask does. So let me undo all of this. I'm going to undo all of the things we created, and let's start over. So we do have the animation, and let me show you how awesome Smart Mask is. So here it is. This is what it looks like. And we have 5 buttons in here. So these 5 buttons are essentially just your way of telling After Effects where you want to create a mask. If you want to create a mask at the end point of a layer based on where, what it looks like right now, then that's exactly what it would do. You select it, create it, and then it's going to do that. But then if it animates, it will be just locked into the endpoint. You can say midpoint, and it's going to do it based on the midpoint. So if you have a bunch of different layers selected, it's going to take those layers and find the midpoint of each and then create a mask like this. So now, instantly, we created something really interesting, right? So it's super awesome. You can do the same thing based on out. Again, select it, out, and now it does it based on out points, right? But it's going to be locked into that. You can do it by default. It's set to this, which is a current time, but it's animated value. So when you select this and you apply it, it's going to create a mask, but this mask is going to be moving with your text animation. Now, I'm showing you text animation here, but you can apply this rectangular mask to just about anything, images, footage. So you can do it on anything, but it's very effective with text. So as you can see, it will move with your text, and that's awesome. Maybe for some things that's important, because this thing does create a pseudo effect where you can adjust the left, the right. Maybe you want to cut things out or something, or maybe you want to, I don't know, somehow take this and add some expressions. Maybe it's part of your design. You can push the mask here and there. You can also adjust the feather. So maybe I can bring this in. We have feather for the width. You can adjust this in here. We also have height. So you can bring this, well, let's bring this closer on the top here so you can see the feather. So as you can see, it does work. And we also have opacity and expansion. So you can expand the mask. So yeah, again, you can do this for text, any layers really. I'm going to do this. We're going to apply a new one. So it doesn't reset it. So let's reset everything to 0. That's good. So what else can it do? Obviously, we have this animated value, which will follow the animation, but you can also do it based on current time, but it's static. In other words, you can say, hey, give me a mask based on this here, but keep it that shape. So then you would do boom, and it will keep it that shape. It's still responsive. You can still add things. Like you can go to the end here and add another word like 8, and it will respond, but it will just be locked in. So let me undo this for a second. All right, so let's do this. Let's create a mask based on the middle point. Let's do that. So we're going to select this, go to Smart Mask, and do middle. So now we created the same effect that we created earlier, right? Well, this time, because it is responsive, you can actually go and select 2 here, and we can go to character and maybe size it up a bit some, and we can actually add another word like 8, and you can see everything adjusts. Super awesome. And remember, if you have a bunch of different layers, I mean, it's really, really helpful. By the way, I forgot to mention one more thing. If you select this layer, or if you select a bunch of layers that have Smart Mask, you can easily get rid of all of them by going over here to Smart Mask and by clicking on this remove button. So when you click on it, it will get rid of it. Smart Anchor is an After Effects tool that I find extremely helpful. So if you constantly find yourself adjusting the anchor points, I believe you like this tool very much. But before I show you what it does, let me show you the before and after. So for example, we have a simple animation here. We have a bunch of images kind of flip in, and then the text slides in from the right. And so what if I wanted to change the anchor point of these images right here? Right now, they're at the bottom left corner. And because of that, it kind of flips from that, or it pivots from that corner. But what if I want to change the pivot? What if I want to move the anchor point to the top right? How can I do that easily? Well, you can do that easily by activating snapping, maybe get the anchor move tool, and you can easily put it like this. Just move the anchor point to the corner you want it to be in. It will snap in, no problem. And there you go. Now, it does become a problem if you have like hundreds and hundreds of layers, then yeah, that's a problem. And obviously you can do the same thing for the text. At any point, you can put it in any corner you want, and it will work just fine. When it becomes a problem is when you have a lot of layers, or when you are creating like a mogurt, or if you're doing some expressions and you're rigging your composition and you want certain, I guess, text to be in certain places, then it becomes a problem. For example, right now I have this design, and what if I wanted to move this into Premiere? Now I would move this anchor point right here because I want to maintain the distance right here. If anyone were to change the text, I want this kind of gap in here. So naturally, I guess you can select this, press S, and you can see it's working. It's scaling from that pivot point. That's fine. It works fine until you start actually altering the size of your text in the character panel. So if you select this and go to character panel and you start altering the size, then it breaks everything. It's just not going to work for you. So then you have to go a bit further. You have to use some expressions. Not everyone knows how to use expressions. So I mean, normally I would just go into the anchor point and create an expression and write my code. And I found myself doing that over and over to points where I realized, hey, it's time to create Smart Anchor. And that's what I did. So let me show you what Smart Anchor does. On the surface, it just looks like this. And by the way, a guy named Scott McMahon helped me to design the UI. So Scott, thanks for the help. I did put his name in the credit. He's a super awesome guy. So on the surface, it looks like this. We are familiar with these buttons. So you can alter the anchor points using these buttons. So whatever you select right now, this current button means current time. And if you don't have this button selected, then these two right now mean the same thing. It only, like this one is different when you select this button, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So current time is based on current time. So right now, current time like this is what we see. I want the anchor point moved from the top right corner to the bottom left. And for that, I can just select all of them, even the text. So we're going to select all of them. And then I can just say, boom, like this. And they all go to wherever, I put it. So you can put it in the center. And now animation is different. It's pivoting from different points. And that's super awesome. It saved you quite a bit of clicks. And if you do that all the time, you'll find this very helpful. Now, you can do it based on in point, the in of each layer. You can do it middle, and you can do it out. And that's the same concept as Smart Mask, if you saw that one. But where it becomes very helpful is when you can apply an expression. When you select this button, this time when you click on any of these, it will apply an expression. So right now, even though, like, let's do this. Let's uncheck this, and we're going to say, hey, put the pivot point or the anchor point right at the top center here. So like this. And now if I select this and if I change the size of it in here, it's still not working. But this time, I'm going to go to Smart Anchor, and we're going to activate this Smart Anchor expression. And we're going to do the same thing. This time it creates a pseudo effect, and also it applies an expression to the anchor point. So now I can select scale, and it will still pivot from that point, which is exactly what I want. But I can also go into character here, and I can adjust things all day long. It will always pivot from that point. Now, because I had, let's go back to Smart Anchor, because I had this current time animated, so it will affect my animation as well, because it will lock everything in that. You can see animation is not looking the same. It's kind of doing some weird stuff, but this is where these two buttons come in handy. So this one will mess up your animation. It will basically take the anchor point. It will constantly be adjusting based on the size. So it's always going to keep it in the center if you have text animating. But this right here gives you custom current time. So it's basically set the anchor point on current time, wherever your time indicator is at, but it will keep it locked in. So right now I'm going to do this. Now it's going to be locked in. So if animation is changing anywhere else, if the size is changing anywhere else, it will still maintain that anchor in that place. And it's still responsive. You can still select this. You can still go to character. You can still change the size, whatever you want. You can even, go over here and change just certain letters. It doesn't matter what you do. It will always be locked in to that position. And I don't know about you, but when I create mogurts, when I rig my compositions for whatever it might be, something like this is very handy. It definitely saves me time from coding by hand. And I don't mind coding, but if you do a bunch, you get exhausted. Smart Resizer is a sizing tool for After Effects. And before I show you what it does, I do want to show before and after. And for this example, we have an image and we have two text layers. So let's say we're doing this. We want to size our text, both of them, down to the same width as our image here. How can I do that quickly? Well, I can select each layer right here and kind of size it down. And that will do the trick. I can move it up and all that stuff. So you get the idea. And what if I needed something like this? What if someone would say, hey, we need to maintain the width of all of them 500 pixels. In other words, size all of them down to 500 pixels. I guess what you can do is maybe double click on the shape layer here and go to the rectangle path, and the size is actually in pixels. So you can type 500. So that gives you like a reference, and then, you know, maybe you can select layers and size them down. So that can work. I can see that working. All right, well, but that's not ideal. So let me show you what Smart Resizer can do. Let me undo all of this and let me do the same thing, but using Smart Resizer. So this is Smart Resizer right here. This is what it looks like. And let me show you what it does now. So what if we wanted to size both of our text to the same width as this image right here? How can I do it quickly? Well, all you have to do is just select your text, and whatever layer you select last, that's the layer it's going to grab the size from. So in this case, we're going to select this image last because we want to grab the width from that layer. So once we've made our selection, then we just go over here to Smart Resizer, and we have 5 buttons right here. Those are the buttons that apply action. So the first one is fit to the width, right? It will stretch it out. It's not going to maintain the aspect ratio. So, and remember, it grabs the width of the last selected layer, which in our case is this image. So I'm going to click on this. Boom, you can see it sizes everything to that width. Now, can you imagine if you have a bunch of different layers? I mean, that will save you so much time. Okay, so that's this button. Then we have the second button, which it does the same thing, but it grabs the height of last selected layer and adjusts all selected layers to that height. So like this, boom, they're all the same height. Okay, then we have the same thing here. It's adjusted the width, but this time it will maintain the aspect ratio. In other words, it's not going to shrink it. It's going to maintain the size. So if I do this, again, the last selected layer is the image. So grab the width of that and boom, it adjusts everything, and it does maintain the aspect ratio, so it's not stretched, and that's exactly what I need. Let me undo this. Now we have the same thing for the height. It will size it that height, but again, it maintains the aspect ratio. So that's what that does. So 4 buttons, and the last one right here, essentially it's gonna grab the width and the height of this last selected layer and apply to all selected layers. In other words, it's gonna create similar shape of all those text layers. So watch this, boom. They're the exact same shape. You can see I can snap it, it's the exact same shape. So that's awesome, but that's not all. You can also select all of these, and you can go to this portion of the script. So the first 2 inputs right here, those are just the size, so the width and the height. And then the second is the margin. So we have the width margin, height margin. So what does it do? Well, you can say maybe like, hey, what if I wanted to shrink everything down to exactly 500 pixels on the width? So you can come over here and type 500, and then I'm going to click the first one here. It's going to squeeze everything to that, right? So it's going to shrink them, but it's not going to maintain the aspect ratio. So that's exactly 500 pixels. In fact, we can double check. Let's do this. Let's do the same thing what we did earlier, and let's type 500. And as you can see, perfect. That's exactly what we want. So let me undo all of this. All right, so let's keep going here. And now what if I wanted to do this? What if I select a bunch of different layers? Instead of typing 500, you can click on here. And by the way, the same is true for the height as well. You'll see the same options. So you can click over here and you have more options. So you can say, let's do comp width. So basically shrink everything, or whatever button you click, shrink everything to the comp width. So when you do that, it's going to shrink everything to your current composition width. That might be helpful in some areas. You can do the same thing, but keep the proportion. Then let's keep going here. We have first selected layer, which, just whatever layer selected first, it's going to shrink everything to that. Last selected, it's set to last selected by default. Then we have smallest selected. So if you click on smallest selected, and if you run the shrink right here, it will take everything and size it down to the smallest selected layer. In our case, it's this image right here. So watch this, boom. That's exactly what it does. Let's keep going here, and let's select largest selected. So it's the same concept, but this time it's going to size everything up to the largest selected layer. In this case, it's this layer right here. So let's see if that works. Perfect. So again, the same concept is for the height as well. So that's what it does. And you can also reset everything like that. So that's what it does on the surface, but it can do a lot more than just that. we also have this button right here for expression. So if you have this one checked, this time it will do the same thing, right? Whatever last layer you select, and if you hit this, like keep it proportional, then it will do the same thing, but this time it applies an expression to the scale property, and it also gives you this pseudo effect. In other words, now the scale will no longer control the image. This controls the image, and it's in pixel value. So you can adjust it in pixel value, and you can change it to like the fit to width, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So let me undo this for a second. So what I like to use this for sometimes, so if you select this and you select one image, and right now this image is sized based on the scale value, right? And it is in percentage, but sometimes you wanted to convert it into pixel value. So this script also converts percentage to pixel value, and you can size it that way. So if you select this and do it, click on this to where I adjust the width and height. So now you can control the width and the height of the layer based on pixel value. That's exactly pixel value. So let's do this. Whoops, 500. So that's exactly 500 in width. Now, obviously, it stretches it because it's set to fit to width and height, so it will stretch it. But you can say fit to width only and preserve aspect ratio. So now if you do the width, it will maintain the aspect ratio. And that can come in very handy when you're designing any kind of mogurts, if you're rigging your compositions using expressions. I used it many, many times. And you can also use the anchor tool right here, Smart Anchor. You can say apply an expression, and let's put it down here so it maintains it. So when you size it, it will size it from that point. So you can see how you can instantly build like an interesting composition. You can rig it, and I think you'll find it very useful. The same thing here. We're going to put anchor at the top here, so it's locked into that. So if I change the size or the scale of it, it will be locked in. Now, but here's something else Smart Resizer does that's not very, I guess, it's not on the surface. It's kind of hard to know. So I need to do a better job at explaining this one. So for example, when you have the expression code checked, and when you use these two buttons, for example, when you select the text and you apply it to the text, basically when you click on it, it will keep the text the same. I mean, it will convert to the pixel value, but it will keep your text the same width. So if you double click on it here, it basically kind of, I guess it kind of limits to that width. So when you type anything, it'll be fine in size, but as soon as it approaches that original width, then it's going to start sizing it down. It will always maintain that width, and based on where you put the anchor point, it's going to kind of pivot into that. And again, you can expand that width. It sets the limit based on what the word was then, but you can set the limit right here based on width. You can say, hey, make sure you're always at 50 or 500 pixels. Right? So it's going to be fine until it reaches 500 pixels, then it's going to size down. So that, again, can come in very handy for a lot of mogurts designs and stuff like that. So, and the same concept goes for the height as well. Smart Controls is an After Effects tool that converts any selected properties into expression controls. And before I show you what it actually does, let me show you the before and after, as always. So here's an example. Let's say we have a position property, and by default, position property has X and Y all on one line kind of thing. But what if I wanted to split the dimensions? What if I wanted to separate them into each individual slider? How can I do it quickly? Well, position property is the only property in After Effects where you can just right click on and separate dimensions like this, and it will separate it. No problem. You can right click again and get rid of it. But that's not the case for other properties. And like you can see, scale right here has the exact same setup, 2 dimensions. If I right click on here, you can see that separate dimensions is grayed out, which means I can't really use it. So naturally what I would do before, I would select this, I would go to effects control, and then I would go to expression controls and bring in a slider. I would call it X, and then I would duplicate it and call this one Y. Okay, then I would have to go back to the scale here, alt click on the stopwatch, and then I would write an expression. I would say something like X variable, you're going to be this slider right here. I want the value. Then I would say Y, you're going to be this one right here. I want the value of that slider. And then I would marry them together in an array. I would say X and Y, which means X, the first slider, right? You're going to be applied to the first value here. And then Y, you're going to be applied to the second value. So now when I click away, I mean, it's working. I can go over here. I can adjust the scale. So that's one way to do it. But can you imagine if you do this over and over again for every single property? I mean, that can take you quite some time. You'll get tired. And that's exactly what I did. I got tired of this. So that's why I created this smart controls. So let's talk about this. Now, obviously with sliders, you can create your custom menus. You can bring in all the expression controls and you can do it that way. But this thing does more than just splits dimensions. I'll show you here in a second. So let me undo all of this. Let's start from scratch. Let me show you how easy it is to do the same thing what I just did using smart controls. So here's how we do it. So smart controls right here has 4 buttons. The second button right here is to split dimensions. If you enable this, if you highlight it, any property that you select that has two or three dimensions, it will separate them into each slider. So in this case, I have that one selected. I'm going to select this scale property. And then if I hit apply, boom, right away, you can see it separates them in 2 different sliders and I can adjust them like this. Pretty easy. You can see it only took a few clicks. But not only that, you can do it for multiple properties. For example, let me undo this. You can select this one, you can select that one, you can select the position, and then you can hit it and it's done. You can see each layer. This one has all of them split in here. That one has those 2 split in here. So you get the idea. Let me undo this. Now, what's cool about this, we also have this other feature called last selected layer. And what this one does, if you enable it, whatever properties you select, in this case, we're going to select scale here and scale that, or this one. So whatever you select and whatever layer you select last, in this case, I just have a control. It's just a shape layer. It's just basically an empty layer. So if I select scale here, control select that scale, and I can select many more. And whatever layer I select last, in this case, I'm going to control select this controls layer. And if I have this enabled and if I hit apply, it's going to apply an expression and create controls all in the last selected layer. So now you can see we have controls for scale in the last selected layer here. So we can control the scale of other layers from here. So this could be very useful, especially if you're creating, again, mogurts, anything like that, to where you can create your own custom menu. You can select any properties that you want and put them on the last selected layer. Now, I do have split dimensions enabled, and because of that, it splits it, but you can disable it. And now, essentially, you can grab any property. So we can grab all of these, maybe all of those, and even things like checkboxes. So this is like on off, so it would be checkbox. So again, make sure you select it and then run it. Make sure you select the last selected layer. So that's where it's going to apply all of my selected properties to. So when you have this last selected enabled and when you run it, it will convert all of them into this layer. As you can see, we have angle control, we have a checkbox right here. So all of that stuff is working. You can control multiple layers, all from one layer and only few clicks. So Smart Controls supports just about any properties, effect properties, layer properties, but the only thing it doesn't support yet is the drop-down menu. But every other property, as you can see, we have angle control, we have the 2 dimensions, slider, you name it, and even checkboxes. Smart Rekt is an After Effects tool that creates rectangular shape layers with advanced settings. I don't know about you, but I'm a huge shape layer fan. I've been using shape layers for many years. In fact, I don't remember last time I used a solid. And with that, I do realize that shape layers do have some limitations, and that's why I created this Smart Rekt years ago. Well, let me show you what life was like without Smart Rekt first, and then let me show you what Smart Rekt can do. So shape layers, and particularly I'm talking about the rectangular shape layer. So if you double click here, it creates a shape layer. It's a rectangular shape layer. You can actually go over here and control the size. You can adjust the X and the Y. It is in pixel value, which is awesome. You can be precise. So that's awesome. Now, the problem is with rectangular tool, it doesn't size from any other pivot points, only from the center. Now, you can adjust the position and get it to where it does it from a certain pivot point. But the problem is, if you want it to be responsive, you have to do some expressions. You have to go in position and add expressions, and it just takes time to set it up. And any extra clicks and stuff, that can wear you out throughout the day. So that's what I used to do. I used to apply certain expressions and have the setup, but eventually I created Smart Rekt, and I'll show you how easy it is now. So that's one limitation that really bugged me. But then also, if you wanted to create like a shape layer that's the same size as these text layers, you would have to, go over here and select this rectangular tool, and you have to draw one. You have to be precise, right, to where it fits it, and then put it behind it here and then do this. I mean, it can take you some time. And if you have a lot of different layers, it definitely takes some time. Clicking, dragging, and all of that is just a mental, I guess, exhaustion that wears you out at the end of the day. So something like this, then you can center the anchor points. Anyway, it's not perfect, but it does the job. And that's what I used to do. But let me show you what you can do now with Smart Rekt. So I'm going to delete all of this. Now we're going back to square one. And this is Smart Rekt. This is what it looks like. You can click here and you can go through different options. We have size, margin, fill, stroke, and name, the name of the layer that it creates. So let me show you what it can do. So before we had to double click here to create a shape layer, but Smart Rekt does it in here. So if you have size right here set to 0, 0, and if you create a Smart Rekt, it just creates it the same way it does it there. It just creates a Smart Rekt, but it has all these different options. You can size it from the center, but you can also say pivot point, go to top left corner, and it will be at the top left corner. Now the problem before, when you did this, it would shift the whole thing, which was annoying because you position it. But now because we have a tool called Smart Anchor, it actually works with Smart Rekt. I especially coded stuff into where if it sees, if the selected layer has this Smart Rekt in it, then it will work with Smart Rekt tools. So for example, if I want to put the pivot point at the top here, it's not going to adjust the anchor point here. It will adjust it internally, which is awesome. So watch this. So I'm going to select this. We'll go to Anchor, Smart Anchor tool. And in here, I'm going to say, go to the top left. Watch this. Boom. Works like a charm. Top right. So you can, and as you can see, it changes in here, but you don't have to like constantly adjust. So this Smart Anchor works super well with Smart Rekt. That's a new addition that I think a lot of you will like. So you have a tool that you can quickly adjust and get different pivot points, and you can start sizing it from that pivot point. You can say, you can also adjust the scale. You can adjust the roundness. You can add some roundness in here. You can do it based on percentage or pixel value. So you can use a pixel value in here. Some of you like different ones. I used to have just percentage, but then, or pixel, I'm sorry. And then I added percentage and you guys love it. So that's awesome. Then you also have skew. So that is the basics of Smart Rekt as far as the shape itself. Now, it is more than just that. You can create smart shapes or smart rekts based on your selection. So you can select all of these layers. And do you remember how I did it hand by hand? I mean, that takes a long time, but now I'm just going to select them. We're going to go to Smart Rekt right here. And because it is selected, it doesn't matter what I type in size. It just grabs the size of each selected layer. And now when I press Smart Rekt, I can click on any of these. We're going to create each shape and we're going to put the anchor point in the center like this. Watch this. So now I created one, puts it right underneath each text. And that saves you a lot of clicking, a lot of time, and it's precise too. Now that's one of them. And you can keep adjusting the shape. You can use the Smart Anchor tool to put the anchor point at the top here, top left, and you can size it from here. I mean, the sky is the limit what you can do with this. Now, the problem is when you start typing, you can see it's not gonna follow it. But I do have a fix for that. So again, select the same text layers and then go back to Smart Rekt right here. And now we have these icons in here. So the first one is just parented. So let's say I'm gonna create these. Well, let's create these two, the bottom two without parents. So we're going to create one without it. And then the top one, we're going to create with parents. So now watch this. So I can select this text layer and I can move it and you can see the shape doesn't go with it. The same for that. But this one, it does. So it automatically parents it. So that's super handy. Let me undo this. Now let's uncheck this. Let's talk about masking. So I'm going to create these two without masking. And then the top one, we're going to create with the mask selected. So these two didn't have mask selected. So if I move the text, it just goes right out of it. But watch this. With this one, it automatically adds mask on top of that text layer, which is great. Let me undo all of this. Let's keep going with this. All right, let's undo this. Now we also have auto size. So I'm going to select these two and we're going to create a shape layer without this selected. And then the top one, we're going to select auto size. Now watch this. So make sure you run it, by the way. So now if I change this text, not much happens, right? So the same thing for that one. If I change it, not much happens. But because this one had auto size selected, now if I type, you can see it will follow it. So if you are not good with expressions, this will save you so much time. So that's what that feature does. Let me undo all of this again. All right. Trust me, this tool will save you so much time. So let's keep going. So we've talked about all of these. Let me uncheck this for right now. And we also have margin. So if you create, let's say this one, if we create a tool with everything zeroed out, you'll get that. But if I select these, let's do these two, and I'm going to add maybe like a 20 pixel to the top and the bottom, and then left side and right side. So we're going to do like 50 pixel on both, and then I can run it. You can see create something really interesting. It's a good starting point. And let me undo this. You can activate auto size, masking, and also parenting, and do this. And now you can do all kinds of stuff. You can change the text. It will maintain it. Super handy. All right. So let's undo this. What else can we do? So we have talked about the margin. Now let's talk about fill and stroke. So you can change the color of the orange to maybe something more bluish. That's good. You can uncheck it, check it. And obviously when you create it, it creates it. That's awesome. But you can uncheck it. You can go to stroke. You can activate it. You can change the color of it if you want. You can adjust the size of the stroke. And based on your selection, remember, we still have margin. So when you run it, you can see it creates, we have masking. So let's deselect that. And you can see it creates something very interesting. It puts stroke around it, and you can change the text. It will follow it. So that can be a nice little element that you might want to plug in your Mogurts, in your After Effects compositions. So let's undo this. Let's keep going. What else do we have here? So we also can change the name of the text that it creates. When it creates a new layer, it says that, but you can change it. But Smart Rekt just does all kinds of amazing things. Let me show you how quickly I can create an interesting animation. So we have these text layers. We're going to select this. We're going to go to, we're going to keep the margin the same. By the way, this resets it. So if you click on it, it resets it. That's awesome. So let's create with a mask, make sure fill is activated, and stroke, we're going to disable it, and let's run it like this. So we have a shape underneath each layer right here. So we can go to the first one. We can animate the X scale. So this right here. So you can see because it has a mask applied, so we can create some interesting animations. So something like this, let's see it, maybe take it to 100. Let's adjust easing to something like 75 and something like this. So we have this animation, very easy. So I can select all of them, copy it. I can select this one, maybe set a keyframe for X, and the same for that one, X, and now press U to see all your keys. So we can paste them in here like that. Maybe even move them some. So 1, 2, 3, like this maybe, and something like that. But you can see in no time, I created something very interesting. And not only that, you can actually change the text and it will adjust. So your animation will stay the same because you're animating the scale and not the actual size, which is super handy. And you can keep adjusting your margins, all kinds of stuff. It will be amazing. You can adjust the roundness, and the sky's the limit. You can instantly create lower thirds in no time. So that's Smart Rekt in a nutshell. And it's my number one tool. I use it all the time. Smart Size is an After Effects tool, but it's more of a reference tool. It doesn't really do much other than give you information that you can use in your composition. And essentially, it's kind of like Source Rekt at time method that gives you the width and the height of a layer, but it also gives you a width and the height of multiple layers. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And for example, let's say we have this example right here. We have a shape layer. It's our Smart Rekt, and we want to adjust this shape right here based on what we type in here. So if we type something, I want like the longest one to follow it or something like that. I mean, that can take some time, right? So normally what you would do, you would go over here, alt click on the stopwatch, and you would point to any of these. You would say, well, let's take the longest one. So that's going to be what? Let's do the title, right? Title, and we're going to use Source Rekt at time, and we want the width, right? So then it will work. Then we would type something and it works. However, you do have some limits, because what if I want to create something to where it always goes with the longest text or with the shortest text? How can I do that? Now, if you're not that great at expressions, I mean, it can take you some time to figure it out, but Smart Size gives you everything you need. So let me talk about the first one. So the first thing, let me undo all of this, get rid of the expression. The first thing, Smart Size. By the way, this is what it looks like. And Smart Size has some options. We already talked about a lot of these buttons. Basically, you can grab the size based on the in point of the layer, midpoint of the layer, the outs, or the current time, the current animated value, or the current time. So by default, it's set to this, but essentially that's probably a good one. It kind of gives you animated value of the size of whatever layer. If the text is animating, that it's going to constantly be adjusting. So you want probably something like this, the current animated value. And then you would just pick a layer. So for example, I want to know the size of, let's say, this image right here. So I select the image and I want to know what the size of it is in pixel value. So then I can just apply it and it gives me everything I need to know. So the width is, here it is in the pixel value, the height is in this, and that's super awesome. The same thing for any layer. So you can kind of do it individually if you want, but if you don't want to do it individually, I'm going to do all of this. So we haven't applied anything yet. So I'm going to select this shape right here. And instead of just doing it individually, I'm going to select multiple layers. So if you have that one selected and you click on any layer, it will apply this right here. So obviously nothing is going on, but what this does, it essentially allows you to grab multiple layers. And the way you grab the layers is not by selecting them, but just tagging them, the name of them. So for example, we have this right here, size from layers starting, and you can say starting with underscore any of these. So I'm going to go with underscore. So whatever layer I start with underscore, that's the layer it's going to grab the size from. So for example, I'm going to do this. I'm going to point from here to this width right here. So right now it's set to 0 because nothing has been tagged yet, right? So the size is 0. But then I'm going to say, hey, let's tag the image right here. So I'm going to go over here. Remember, it's underscore. So as long as I put underscore here, watch this, boom, it will tag it. Okay, so that's good. Then you can say, hey, let's do this subtitle. And I'm going to tag it with underscore. And then it will adjust to the subtitle. And then I can say, let's do the main title. You get the idea. Whatever you tag, that's what it will grab. But not only that, you can go over here. It does have some options in here. We have width offset, so you can give it a little offset. So when the title changes, you know, watch this, it will go with it. Now, the way it's set up right now, right here, we have the display pixel value. That's good. You can also do percentage in some cases, but let's do this. Right now, the width right here is set to minimum maximum. So it's set to maximum value. So it will always go with the highest value. So right now, this text right here, the title is the highest text. But if I go to subtitle and if I start typing, it's going to be fine until it becomes longer than the longest text, and then it will grab it. So that's really helpful for when you're creating kind of mogurts, lower thirds, you name it. So that can come in very handy. You can do the same thing for minimum. So you can say, instead of maximum value on the width, you can say minimum. So it's going to stay with the shortest one. In this case, it's going to be the image. Now we do have the margin right here. So that's what you see, the offset right here. It's just a margin. So it's going to go with the minimum. Now I can size them, you know, I can select this and push it and see, as once it becomes bigger than this, then it will grab the shortest one there. So very handy. Now, another cool thing about this, because if I create like a shape layer, like some kind of null shape layer, just a blank layer, I'm going to call it controls, and I'm going to parent this image to it. Now watch this. If I scale the size of this parent, because the child of it is this image, watch what happens. It will size it and it will not adjust. So that's a problem, because it sounds like it doesn't recognize like global scale, right? So, but it does. If you go back over here, you can say, hey, instead of the local size, I want to grab global size. When you do that, it will adjust. So it doesn't matter what you have sized underneath it, it will always grab the proper size. So essentially, that's what Smart Size is. And I need to do more tutorials in the future to kind of show you how really useful it is. And just think of it as a reference tool that you can always get the size of each layer without remembering to type source rect at time and all the other methods that give you all this stuff. It does it all for you with a few clicks, and you always have a reference of either a lot of layers or you can do individual layers. Smart Stopwatch is an After Effects tool that creates an animated stopwatch. And really, I mean, it's that simple. It's just this right here. And let me show you how to work it. You can either select a text layer like this one right here. And then you can go over here and say, hey, I want a stopwatch starting at like 0 and maybe going to like 3 seconds. That's good. You can reverse it at any point, like by using this button. You can flip the two. You can tell this one to go to that side by using that. Or if you set it to 0, you can tell it to go the other way. Then you can flip it. But obviously you don't want to flip this. But very easy. You can use the up and down arrows. You can use keyboards, the arrows on the keyboard. And other than that is just these buttons right here. You can say, I want hours, I want minutes, seconds, milliseconds. So whatever you highlight. So in this case, let's do all of them for right now. And then you just select it and apply it. And there you go. So now it's animated. You can see it goes from 0 to 3 and then it stops. Now, if you don't want to start here, you want to shift it. You can actually, it does create this pseudo effect. You can go to start end. You can adjust it. If you don't want it to be 3, you can adjust it in here. But you can also say time offset. So maybe starting point instead of 0, you can kind of shift it, maybe like 2 seconds. And at 2 seconds, right here, it's going to start animating. So you can offset this if you want. You can speed it up. Right now it's set to 1. You can say 3 and it's going to go super fast. So as you can see, it's going much faster, but we're going to keep it at 1. And again, at any point, you can turn things on, off, like you can turn off the hours, minutes, all of that stuff. And the other things are more for like if you're moving it into Premiere using like a Mogurt, you want to control tracking and colors. You can swap the colors like this. Anyway, the sky's the limit what you can do with these, but they are there if you need it. But for the most part, you're probably going to use this. So you can, again, at any point, change this around. You can say, oh, let me undo all of this. In fact, to remove it, if you want to remove stopwatch, you just click on this and it removes it. And if you don't have any text layer selected, like I'm going to delete this one. And if you don't have anything selected, that's no problem. You can just run it and it creates a new one like this. And again, you can select this. You can say, hey, I don't want hours and minutes. I just want seconds and milliseconds, and just update it and it will update it for you. You can get rid of milliseconds. And there you go. And make sure you select it, run it, boom. So that's simple. It creates everything for you. And it does give you a lot of different options to work with. Smart Scroll is an After Effects tool, and it does exactly what it says it does. It scrolls things, and it does it in a smart way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So something like this would be perfect for like credits or anything like that. For example, we have this first example, just a bunch of credits. We have text right here, and I can tell it to move downwards or up by using this Smart Scroll right here, this script right here. So we can select this, you can select multiple layers, and you can say, hey, go up. And now it's going to start, it does it basically based on in and out points. So it's going to start at the beginning of this, at the bottom of your composition, and it's going to scroll up all the way to the very end here, and it's going to go to the very end. Doesn't matter the size of your composition, it knows what the size is, and it will always go from this to that. If you wanted to go slower, you would stretch it out more because it goes from in to out. So that's probably good. And the cool thing about it, you can actually size it down. It will always know the beginning and the end. It will always do that. Now, it is locked in on up and down because it's moving up, but you can move it side to side with this animation. You can put it right here and it's going to move it. You can even size it differently. Let me see. It's better if you do it from this. There you go. So something like that. You can even bring in images. Maybe you can create a composition that's very long with all the credits, so you can kind of design it and have video animating. Just bring it in as a composition and then do the same thing here. So right now it's going from the bottom up, but we can reverse it. We can select this and say, hey, let's go downwards. So now it's going to go downwards. Again, you can position it anywhere. So that's for like up and down. For something like side to side, you probably would use something like this text. It's very long. And the same, you can say this, you can select this and say, let's go from the right side to the left like this. And it's going to start animating from one side to the other. And it's going to go all the way to the very end. So you can type it, you can keep adding stuff. It will always know the beginning and the end. You can even, right here, you can even size it down and it'll still go from one side to the other. And you can control the speed by bringing it closer together or further away. That's how it knows how slow it needs to go. So you get the concept here. Again, you can tell it to go the opposite way by clicking here, and then it's going to go from one side to the other. Now it is locked in on left to right, but you can move it up and down, put it anywhere you want to, and it'll go from one side to the other. So this one can be very handy. And if you don't want any of that, you can just select both of them and just say, get rid of this effect. and then we'll get rid of it. And now it doesn't do any scrolling. Smart Text is an After Effects tool that gives you a lot of different options when you work with text. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So for example, we have this text layer in our composition, and we can access the size, the tracking, all that stuff by going to character. And in this panel, we can change the size, tracking, make it bold, you name it, right? Let me undo all of this. Well, what if I wanted to access all of these in my timeline so I can set keyframes? Before, I would have to do this. I would select this text layer. I would go to the Effect Controls panel, right click, go to Expression Controls, bring in a slider, call this one Size for the size, and you can create, a bunch of different sliders, checkboxes for all of these. So let's do one more, maybe tracking. So we're gonna do spacing. That's what I'm gonna call it, spacing. And let's link it up. Now we're gonna have to go to the text layer here, go to the source text property, create an expression, and then we would tap into style. And then in here, we would set font size to, and then we would pick whip to this size. We want the value of that. And let's keep going. We're going to set also, what is it, tracking, spacing, whatever you want to call. So set tracking, and we're going to link it up to slider right here, spacing. And now, make sure I spell this right, value, there you go. So now when I click away, these two will control the size and tracking. So now you can set keyframes, create expressions, and drag them into something like Mogurts. Well, that's awesome, but I get so tired of doing this over and over because I do a lot of Mogurts. I rig, different compositions and stuff, and a lot of times I need these controls, and it wears you out mentally when you constantly have to create this. So that's why I created this Smart Text. It does the same thing what I just did, but much quicker. Let me show you. So I'm going to get rid of the expression here, and let's get rid of all of these pseudo effects or the sliders. And so now I'm going to do the same thing. So the same stuff you can access in here, like the font size, the boldness, all that stuff, you can actually go over here and activate all of them. So whatever you activate, that's what's going to take over, right? I highlighted all of them, even the fill color and the stroke color. So now I select the text. You can select one or multiple. It's going to do it instantly. Once you make your selection, you hit apply, and then it creates this pseudo effect with everything you need when you work with text. So right away, you can see each option right here. So we have bold, we have text size. You can see that it has a checkbox to where when you have it checked, then now it takes over. So we have take over basically the font size, and font size now is controlled with this slider. It doesn't matter if you select this and go to character, you can't really access it in here because now you're taking control, right? Let me undo this. So that's what happens when you select these. When you apply it, whatever you selected, that's what it's going to be controlling. And you can set keyframe, you can activate these, maybe set an expression, all kinds of stuff, even color. So you can change the fill color right here. You can swap them, right? Even for the stroke, you can maybe set something like that, adjust the boldness of the stroke, and then you can swap the color. So it gives you a lot of options that you can, again, either keyframe or apply expression zone, or even I like to use them for Mogurts. I would move all of these into Mogurts so I have more control, and that's super handy. So that's what Smart Resizer does. At any time, you can use this visual script to disable some of these. Maybe you don't want color anymore, so you just deselect them and then select the text, and then boom. And now it's going to go back to the beginning. Maybe you don't want to control the size of it, and now it's no longer going to be controlling by that. So it's very handy like this. You can enable, disable, but if for some reason you don't want all of those anymore, you can completely get rid of it. So now, as you can see, we have an expression applied here. But when you select this and hit this remove smart text, it will get rid of the pseudo effect and the expression. Smart Cursor is an After Effects preset, and it seems like a simple thing, right? It's a mouse cursor. That's all that is. But I can't think of so many projects where I had to create a mouse cursor. It's such a simple thing, but it takes time to create it, or you have to maybe purchase a vector graphic, or maybe you have one somewhere, you have to find it. It always takes time, and then you have to rig it. Maybe you go from an arrow to a hand, and you always have to think of ways to do this. Again, it's mental exhaustion. Well, I got annoyed by it, so that's why I created this Smart Cursor. And it's a very simple thing. You just install it into your presets folder of After Effects and just click and drag and move it into your composition, and here you go. You have a cursor. But it's not just a cursor, it's a smart cursor. So you have this pseudo effect. You can adjust the size of it. You can make it really big. As you can see, we get an arrow, but you can switch between an arrow or a hand, and you can set keyframes if you want. Maybe not even a keyframe, but you can also set it like an expression to where when it hovers over some object, it switches to the hand. But when you leave that, it switches back to an arrow. And I'll have to do some tutorials on this. It's very handy. I use this all the time. Anytime I need a cursor, I just pull it in and it saves me so much time. So you can animate the cursor itself. You can adjust the size. Again, you can switch between hand, arrow. You can also change the colors. You can swap the colors. You can adjust the thickness, the width of the stroke. So you can make it very thick, very thin, and it's consistent with the hand as well. So whatever you set it to, the arrow will copy that as well. So again, it's a very simple tool, but I mean, it will save your life so many times. Smart Highlighter is an After Effects tool, but at the moment it is a preset. Eventually I will turn it into a script. And basically what it does, it gives you more color options when you work with text. And it comes in very handy when you create mogurts for Premiere Pro. So for example, in After Effects, it's so easy to change a color of like one character, right? You just highlight it like this, go to a character panel, and then here you can change it to just about any color you'd like. It's very easy to do, not a problem. Well, it's really not that easy to do in mogurts in Premiere Pro. You can't really do that. So for example, I took this right here and I converted it into a mogurt in the Essential Graphics panel. And essentially this right here, that's how it's going to look like in Premiere as a mogurt. So I can go over here and change the text. It will adjust. However, I can't really change the color of just one character or one word in the line of text here. I can change the color of the entire thing easily, but I can't really do one word or one character. And that's where Smart Highlighter comes in very handy. It is a preset. And I took the expression that Dan Eberts wrote years ago. In fact, I was working on a project for Fox Sports and we needed something to be able to highlight things within a mogurt. And we came across this expression by Dan Eberts. And Dan Eberts is just an unbelievably smart guy. I mean, if you've done any kind of expressions or scripting, if you've been searching on the web, you came across Dan. Dan is just all over the web helping everybody. He's the legend and he's super knowledgeable. So he wrote this years ago. I've been using it and I love it so much that I converted it into a preset. So let me show you what it does. By the way, if you want to check out Dan's work, you should go to motionscript.com. I'll include the link at the bottom of this video. And yeah, check it out. So here's how it works. It's a preset. So you just go to effects and presets in here and we have Smart Highlighter. Now, if you have your text selected, then you can just double click. But if you don't, you can just click and drag and drop it like this. Not much is happening here, but we do have a new pseudo effect here. And here's how it works. You just go to highlighter and in here, you pick which one of these you want to use. I want to use square brackets. So I'm going to select this. And then that's it. That's all you do. And then after that, you just go to your text. And I guess this would be inside of Premiere. This is what your mogurt would look like. And then you can highlight. Let's say we're going to highlight just the E right here. So you just go before that E, insert open square bracket, go behind it and close square bracket. And whatever you have inside of those square brackets, that's what's going to change the color to this blue because it's a fill color. We don't have any stroke color, but if you did, it would also change the stroke color to yellow. So when I click away, you can see now that E that I highlighted with square brackets has this blue color. So I can change this to any color I want. I can actually, go over here, press E to reveal the effect. And then I can, bring the fill highlighter and the stroke and also this color swap. And anything that I drag into the Essential Graphics panel, all of these things I can change in Premiere. So now I can change the color of my highlighted areas. I can change it to yellow. And then boom, now it's yellow. But the cool thing about this, you can do it multiple times. You can't just do it once, you can do it multiple. So maybe I want to change the entire word goes, right? Open and close square bracket. And now the entire thing is in yellow. Maybe just the first letter of title. So let's do close square bracket, open, and there you go. It's that easy. Smart Patterns are After Effects presets that I created years ago. And I can't remember what they were called at the time, but a bunch of you have downloaded it. But I took it in and I rebranded it. Basically, I just changed the name of it. And now we get Smart Patterns. They're the same patterns that you guys enjoyed for so many years. And I still use them today. They're very useful. So let me show you how they work. You just go to Effects and Presets panel. And in here we have Smart Patterns folder. And inside of it, we have a bunch of different patterns. And it's very easy to use. Make sure nothing is selected. Double click on the first one, checkers. And you can put it in between the image and maybe the background color. Maybe we can change the blending mode to something like, let's do soft light. So that's an interesting pattern. You can select this, and once you have it selected, you can shuffle through all of them really quick just to see what you like here. So you can go to cube, you can see it's a bunch of different cubes. So that's very interesting, much more exciting than just a simple solid color. So you can kind of shuffle through all of these just to see which one you might want to go with. And again, let me kind of show you all of them, might as well. So you can see that's a cool pattern as well. I remember creating these years ago. It took me some time to create these, but hey, even today, I still use them in areas where I don't have the time, to create a new background. I just drop it in real quick, adjust the opacity. That's a cool one. And there you go. So, and again, the list goes on and on. And this thing is very smart because it's tiled. It's actually using shape layers, so you can alter them all day long. I'll show you here in a second. So let's go through all of them real quick, and you can keep going and just pick whichever one you like. And almost there. So what's this one? Okay, cool. All right, good. And last one right here. So I'm going to click on that one, and just to show you that you can alter them. So here they are, and you can find it at the top here, but you can actually go through it. Over here, we have group 1, we have group here, and rectangle. So you can actually adjust this rectangle path. You can see you can size it down. You can make it into something smaller. You can move it around. Smart Wipe is primarily a motion graphic template to use in Premiere Pro, but you will have the After Effects project as well. So you'll have both the After Effects project and the motion graphic template. Now, it's super easy to install. Literally, here it is. It's just a simple file. You can drag it into the Essential Graphics panel like this, and it takes a second or two to install it. Just click into the timeline and wait for it, and it will pop up here in a second. There it is. It's that simple. So now we have Smart Wipe, and to use it is very easy. So right now I have this timeline. I just have one shot. It kind of goes into the next one, and I'm going to use this as a transition. So it's very simple. Just click and drag and drop it right about here. We want to kind of position it to where it's in full. So let's do this. Something like that is close enough. So it's going to rotate like that and transition us into the next shot. So something like this. Very awesome. Now, let me show you what kind of options you have here. So you can select this, go back to the Essential Graphics panel, and in here under Edit, we have a lot of options to work with. So we have right here Wipe Type. So we can click on it, and we have different options in here, even though it's one Mogurt, but it has different sliders. So for example, we have Linear Wipe. You can click side to side like this. And so now it's going to go from one side to another. So as you can see, wait for it a little bit just to load. And for the most part, it's pretty fast. As you can see, I'm on full here and I'm recording, and preview is pretty fast. So it's going from one side to another, but you can select this and you can customize the angle. So maybe you want to come in from a different angle from this. I mean, you can position it anywhere you want to. So this essentially can turn it into multiple transitions. And so something like this might work. As you can see, it just goes from that. You can reverse the colors. So maybe if you don't like these colors, you can reverse them. You can change them to whatever you want. But in this case, I'm not going to. So you get the idea. It's super handy to use. And again, you can position it, maybe it can be just from the bottom up. So it can be just a simple wipe like this. That might be helpful. So let's preview this. Yeah, that's good. And you can also switch up. Yeah, you can go maybe side to side. Let's go something like 90 degrees. And now it's going to go side to side. So again, it's just one simple wipe that you can basically version different kinds of wipes. And we're only talking about this one right here. Now we have Linear Wipe Inward. So let's see this one. So when you click on it, and let's position a different angle, maybe like 45. So it's the same concept, but this time it's going inward. So it's going to push in like this. And again, the same kind of concept. Let's see this. And then it transitions into a new shot. You can do the angle control here. You can move it around however you want to, and it will do the exact same animation. Very awesome. So then we have, let's say, Linear Wipe Outward. So it's the same concept, but it's going outward this time. And let's preview this. Well, actually, let's position it to where it's more interesting, like 45-degree angle. And so now we are in this shot, and then boom, next thing you know, we're at this shot. So it's very simple. Let's preview this again. Again, I'm impressed how quickly it previews. So you can select this. We're going to go over here to Radial Wipe. So this one is clockwise, and it's different. So now you have something like this. It kind of spins into a new shot. So let's preview that real quick. So again, we're in this shot and then it goes into that shot. So you can also control the angle. You can select it and you can control different angle. Now this one is a bit more heavy because it has more layers involved, but for the most part, I mean, it previews somewhat fast. So let's preview this again. You get the idea. So that's clockwise. You can do the same thing counterclockwise. And now it will do the same thing, but the opposite direction. So let's see this. And you're in a different shot. And then the last one right here, we have radial wipe inward. So let's see what that looks like. And let's preview this. So as you can see, it's kind of like a Pac-Man, right? It closes on itself, but you can also adjust the angle as well. So let's make it more interesting, 45-degree angle. And let's preview this. Nice. So yeah, these wipes will come in very handy for that one time that you really need it. And it's amazing that it's just a one simple mogurt, but it gives you different options. But not only that, you have some control to make it look different each time. All right, well, that's the end of this very long video. I want to thank you for watching it. If you want to get these tools right here, you can either go to Ukramedia.com or just click on the link in the description of this video. It'll take you to the same place. And there you can either get them individually or as a bundle. So again, thank you for your support. If you're not a part of our free mentoring group, you should definitely join. It's a free Facebook private group that you can join today by going to Ukramedia.com/community. The link to that is also included in the description of this video. But in the meantime, my name is Sergey Praknevsky, and this is Ukramedia.com.